From Los Angeles and Nashville, get ready to go behind the scenes with Entertainment Dudes. What happens when you pair a director, a voice actor in a world, and some of the most interesting people in entertainment? You're about to find out. Welcome to another fun episode of Entertainment Dudes. This is a follow-up to last week where we had Rob Sciglimpaglia with us.
It's Robert.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Robert.
Yes, you must say his first name properly.
Robert.
Come on. So many people get that wrong.
And we talked about all kinds of legal issues, about voiceover, about AI licensing. So much to talk about.
And about deals. We talked about deals.
If
If you're only catching this, we talked about packaging deals, what attorneys do, how they put together the publishing deal, the packaging deal, licensing. So we got a lot of really exciting stuff that we talked about.
Yes, and now we'll venture into probably some more legal stuff, but also Rob's acting career, and which we didn't even really touch on in the last episode. So, Rob, thank you for joining us again.
He has returned.
Yes.
How did you do that? That's amazing. Hey, good. Sorry, you got to sit in the green room and have to watch all that. Like, I can't control anything. I'm just here.
Yep.
There it is. Well, I think to start off the show today, I have a really, really important question. I think it's a lot of people are probably sitting at home right now asking themselves, I want to know this because it's very important. What is the most misspelled word that you have found on a legal document?
That's an easy one.
What word is that?
Judgment. There's no
Judgment.
E. There's no, it's DGM, no E.
Okay.
And the M.
I knew there had to be one word that you saw every day that's like, oh my gosh, there it is again. Judgment.
Well, there's actually another one that I see a lot.
What's that?
People will write and they'll say, I need to do a quick claim deed to my no, it's quit claim.
Quit. Q-U-I-T.
Yes.
Not a quick claim. I don't know what that means.
No. I want my quick claim quick. So what is that one called?
Those are the two that come to mind.
That's a quit key. I want a quit key.
Jason, you do custom quicks. Maybe you could also do custom quits.
Custom quick. No.
Custom
I hope
quits.
It doesn't quit. I mean, we quit if you're a terrible client. Or custom quits. We're out. we're not doing this anymore.
Oh, man.
Well, it was really exciting. The last episode, a lot of stuff that we covered, it was really, really fun. And I think it might be fun to ask you, since you're also doing acting, what is one of your favorite scenes that you got to be in, like that you recall doing and that you just walked away from it feeling like, that was awesome. I am happy I do this.
Well, I mean, I've been doing more larger, substantial roles of late. So, I mean, those, of course, I did. I played a father in two films, With and Without, and Bathtub Chronicles. And I've.
That got an award, didn't it? Bathtub Chronicles.
But they both did. They have 100 festival awards between the two of them. So
amazing. Bathtub Chronicles. I'm very curious now. As a child, that would have been a different story because I always took all of the kitchen supply. Everything went in the tub with me for hours. But today it would have a different meaning. Like my wife and I might have a different story. What kind of story is Bathtub Chronicles?
Well, Bathtub Chronicles it's actually a serious story. It's about healing for sexual assault victims.
Oh well, that's not even.
So the daughter, and we as parents didn't even know that she had been sexually assaulted. But she goes through therapy, and then her spiritual advisor tells her she needs to purge the old, and so she takes that as taking over her parents' master bathtub until she heals. So she's like in the master bathtub for like a month.
Wow!
Just, doesn't leave the tub. So, and then that's so it's kind of a dramedy, it's there is some humorous elements to it, but the whole how it gets in between the parents and the parents argue, and the dynamic is that's part of the story as well.
What do you do to prepare for a role like that personally? I mean, because especially, do you have experience like that? If you don't, what did you do to prepare?
So, well, obviously I'm a dad, so that helps.
Good.
But that was a role I want. That one of the reasons I produced that film, and one of the reasons I produced it was because I wanted to play that part, because it was a very deep emotional part. So I was with my acting coach for 2 or 3 months. Mm. That's how I prepared for it. So, she's my acting coach, knows me pretty well. So I almost call acting coaching or acting training as therapy. It's my therapy.
Yeah.
Because, we're going over things. I'm going over things that happened, a long time ago, deep in my past, and bringing them up, and so one of the reasons I have my coach is because I know that a lot of actors, when they get down to that place, get stuck there. Mm-hmm. And they spin out of control, and that's why they take drugs, and that's why they drink, and that's why they kill themselves. And, so one of the reasons I have my coach is so she's my life preserver. You know what I mean?
Like walks you down there, keeps the rope.
She can pull me back out. Yes.
So it's literally like those old diving suits that they used to have with the face with the hose that came out of the top, and you're going deep and she's just cranking the hose up top.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because that's, I mean, there are some, she even tells me some actors she works with end up not working with her after a couple of sessions because they just can't go there. They when they get there, they get so freaked out that they just can't handle it. And so that's, she does a great, I love she's sensitive about it. And so she knows, like, her mom was a famous actress. So she's been around acting her entire life. So she knows how to handle actors so that they don't go and take drugs and do drinking and killing yourselves and that kind of thing.
Plus, I think that's what's interesting. That's fascinating. Different types of acting methods. Like that's a Meisner. Well, not even Meisner. That's even more.
It's a method. Yeah.
Method. It's an extreme method. Yeah, and I think there's a question we have at film school and working with actors. Which method is? If you do method, you also have kind of a requirement to be able to teach them the ability to undo method. And that's correct. A lot of times doesn't get taught. They just go and learn how to method, but then it leaves you an absolute mess.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, actually, hers is kind of a combination of method, Meisner, and sense memory. So she kind of combines the different methods, and she will definitely tailor it toward the actor, because like she always jokes with me because a lot of actors are really good actors because they've had very bad childhoods and they've had bad things that happen to them. And, so they, when they go there, it's really bad. And she's always jokes about me. She's like, you're like, you have like the perfect life. You're like, so it's harder for me. Like, it's harder for me to get down to that spot where I have to be, where, I'm a mess, depressive mess, so it's also harder to get out. So that's why she uses kid gloves with me. I'm sure she does with all her actors, but just to make sure. That's the key for me. Like that's how I measure a good acting coach. If they can get you, a lot of acting coaches can get you down there, but can they get you out of it? Like that's the key for me. Is you need to get out, get there, and get out. Like, you know what I mean?
What
get
kind
down,
of tools
do your thing, and get
use?
Out.
What kind of tools do you use that found work for you to be able to, get out of that?
She has these, like this meditation exercise where you sit there and you just get everything out of your mind, and you just sit there and you keep your mind as blank as you can get it, and then just with the context of your character, right? And then just think about whatever comes up.
Yeah, and just let it
go with that, and just let it. Right. So you'll come up. Memories come up for me that I had suppressed for so long that I hardly. It's like I can't even wonder if it ever happened to me. You know what I mean? But just by doing this exercise. It sometimes it takes a few minutes, sometimes it takes longer than that, but just by doing it, you can pop up memories that are suppressed, and you can use them. You can, they're useful for bringing to that character. And what she says is, what her philosophy is, if you got that memory that popped up, that's the right one for the character. Like that's the one that you need to use, because that's the one that came when you. When you did that,
when you let it.
So
Oh, that's really fascinating.
It's interesting stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I call it therapy. So
in this method, you've got, the emotions that can pop up again. So that's why you have to get pulled out. But there is also I've experienced before, there's a physical memory too. I had a character that stuttered. And, being in the role I'm in, and I was in radio before, I was doing this play where the character stuttered, and I had a legitimate stutter for weeks that would just pop up afterwards. And it wasn't anything to do with the emotional, but it was the physical learning how to stutter. And then I found it hard to stop stuttering. Right. So
exactly.
Yeah. Do you have any
because it's real.
Yeah.
It becomes part of you. Like that's what acting is.
Yeah.
It's not pretending, cause that's why when you guys asked on the last show, whether I'm an actor as an attorney versus an actor. No, not really.
Big difference.
I'm kind of pretending in court. You know what I mean? I'm a mouthpiece in court. I'm just talking. But, when I'm on screen, it's real. It's absolutely, it has to be real. If it's not real, it's not going to look real, and it's not genuine, and it's not, you're going to look like you're acting, and that's not what we want. So, and that, my acting teacher will tell me that sometimes too, you're acting, and I know exactly what she's talking about. It's like,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, it's always funny how when you're working with actors, okay, I'm sad now. I'm sad. And then you have your go-to faces and it's almost like a toolkit that you're like, okay, I'm sad now.
Exactly. I'm sad.
And you're like, I'm happy. I'm angry.
No, that's fake.
Yeah. And you can tell when you feel it. So I think for any actors out there, when you first see the script, I think the first thing that's important to do is to break apart what the words are actually saying. I love the fact I'm always looking for subtext in a story. Right. So good writing, the writing will say one thing and it will mean something else.
Right.
That's interesting writing. And I think even in a scene, you want your character to find a mini arc even in every single scene, something that they're challenged with, even if it's not in the script. I like to look. The most interesting stories to me are the ones where the character doesn't get what they want, but they get what they need. And I think that's a lot of like life sometimes. Like we want something that doesn't happen for us. We struggle through the fact that it didn't happen, and we end up in the end getting what we really needed. And maybe that's patience. Maybe it's perseverance. Maybe it's a new friendship that we didn't even know we were going to make. So I think in the script, when you get a script and you're looking at the lines for those things, how do you go from that surface, that first initial response, oh, I'm sad here, to that deeper, what's really going on in this story? How do you approach that?
So I'm glad you mentioned subtext, because that's one of the exercises that I do with my acting coach. We actually will take each line and we'll state out loud the subtext of the line. So if the line says, how you doing today? We will say like, hi, I'm feeling really good. We'll change the entire line like an by what it really, but what the subtext is, and we'll just go back and forth. We'll go back and forth like that, and then that shows you what the it tells you what you're wanting in the scene, right? What you're fighting for in the scene. So that's a good.
What are you not saying?
What are you not saying in the scene?
Yeah,
right, exactly.
A lot of it's about what you're not saying. It's so important. And a lot of times, you might have scripts that have certain lines and there's emotional beats. And for anyone who doesn't know, a beat is like if I tell you, I hate you, there's the pause where the audience is going to look at the other person to see how did that make them feel. Right. And the other person, they respond to that. They're like, oh, that hurt them really bad. They're sad. They've been hurt by this. And you look back and you see, do they respond to this? Are they happy? I hurt them. Like, oh, you're a jerk. So every one of those little pieces, you're looking for those little emotional beats when you're doing your story. And sometimes you'll get a script and the words are there. And then in between two words, there's a beat that's not said. I often work with my actors and I say, I want you to come up with your own line that you say in your head between those two places, because that's a beat that we need to see in your face. You've said line A, you've said line B, but in between there's a big nothing. Do you ever do anything like that, filling in like? Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about. We'll actually say the subtext
even underneath that. Yeah, like what am I saying that's not being said?
We're not saying the actual line. We're saying this. I'm making up my subtext and I'm giving it as a line, and then she'll come back. And then when I'm obviously on the other side of the glass, I'm directing and producing. So when I'm trying to cast talent, this is what I always look for. And so this is what I do as an actor.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily, when someone's giving a line, that's great. But where I can tell if they're an actor or not is what they're doing when they're not giving a line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very important.
That's how I judge whether they're an actor or if they're just saying lines.
Anthony Hopkins is one of my favorite for that. Have you ever watched that guy?
Oh, sure.
400 microbeats in between everyone. I'm like, how is that even possible for one person to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. And then the other thing too is like, the other thing that I think is really important is to when I'm on set and when I'm acting, I want to make it so my co-actors don't know what the hell I'm going to do next.
Like I want
to keep them guessing, like when if I'm holding a gun at them, I do all kinds of different things.
You suddenly rip your shirt off in the scene.
I try to keep continuity, but
okay. Continuity be damned. I'm doing this. I'm going to surprise my cast.
I'll do different things for each take to keep them on the toes, but it also gives choices. I know, like I have the editing thing in my mind too, because that helps being on the other side of the glass too. Like I know that editors like to see they have different choices that they can make, and if you just do the same thing every time, it's limiting not only your variety as an actor, but it's limiting their choices as an editor.
Yeah, it also makes it harder as an editor to decide. If I get 6 or 7 of the virtually same take, it's like it breaks my brain for a moment because I'm like, which one is better? Because they all look the same, and by the time I play the first one, I forget the first one. I'm like, I got to go back and watch them again. I'm like, I guess the third one is better.
Exactly.
Maybe.
Right. So I try to do different things.
That's great. Just very, very important.
Yeah, I mean, I want the editor to make me look good, so I want to help them.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Whoever's out editing, I want them to have choices.
Yeah, so, I like a low, middle, high approach. Like I'll when I'm working with an actors, I'll say like the way that they deliver, and then I'll say, okay, that's the base. Like that's our median. Now go ahead and do one that's just push one to where you feel like it, to the top. Go extreme with it, because for you it's uncomfortable, but for me as the audience, it might be natural, it might be fine, right. And it's that safe space. Like we've already got what we like. Now go like shove it, push it, do something you didn't think is stupid, like it's out there. And then I do a safer version where it's like a subtle piece where that way there's moments where I like to go back and where it's understated. It makes that great roller coaster of a response where someone shouts, I can cut back to that really understated piece. It's almost like more of a whoa. It's like they punch back without saying it. And that gives me a great range of choices that I like. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd love to work with you sometime, because I've had some directors, I've done too many student films too, where they'll be like, you need to keep yelling. And I'm like, why don't you let me do it? Let me do one my way, because sometimes it's better when you're talking like this, and when you instead of screaming at somebody, it's better if you're, if you do like the De Niro kind of,
yes.
You know what I mean? So
yes.
Like the guy, I remember this one take, he had me yelling like 10 takes in a row. I'm like, why don't we back off a little bit on this? It'll probably be better if I, kind of do the De Niro approach.
Plus my voice is like, my throat is bleeding.
Well, exactly, that too. But I mean, we had 10 takes. We had 10 different ways so we could have done it. So, but he wanted me to yell every single time, and I'm like, no. So
why?
Yeah,
I mean, students, it's okay. So.
Yeah, well, I think that's part of learning. For every director that's out there, I love working with the actor. There's an Italian method that I really enjoyed. The Italian method says that when you get the script and you first start reading it, don't put any into emotion. Just hear the text. Here's the text for what it is. Then you read the text and you look up at the other people and you deliver the text as it is. It takes a lot of the fear of that initial, I have to act right now, as you're getting used to a script. Instead, it's just, let's get familiar with the script. Right. Then once you're getting into the actual acting, you stand up and you create a space and you begin to engage with the text more. And then as that develops, you're also working on the character development itself. So I think a good director will do all of his work. The primary goal of a director, and the first thing that's the most important, is casting. I think in terms of understanding the story and casting the right people for that story, because 90%, 80% of your job is done when you've cast the right people for the role.
Right.
Because that's who they are, and they bring in that to the story and you like it, and casting the chemistry, getting the connections between the people, it's right. Then as a director, I like to work with who are you? tell me who you are from this character. What do you get from the script? And I love that. I really do a give and take question approach that helps the person tell me who they are. I'll give my ideas for how I see the story and what I see, but then I want to tell you who are you, so that by the time I'm on set, I like to work more as a documentary director by the time that I'm there, because it's like, hopefully we've done enough of the work ahead of time and you're ready, so that when we get in that space, we block it out, and then you show me what you guys have done for your work, and I capture the best angles of it. Of course, I like coaching on set, but a lot of it, I like working with professionals that do that, because if you do your homework right, the stuff that you bring on the set that day is going to be infinitely better than what I could try to make you do. Mm-hmm. I can encourage it. I can push it. I said, let's go high, let's go low, but I love to see what you guys bring. And I just like to capture it on that day. It's fun for me to experience what you've created.
Right. And those are the kind of adjustments I like too.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Because it helps with the hardest thing for me is the variety part. Like how can I vary it up between takes? So if the director has an idea, mm-hmm. I run with it, because it's great. You know, it's like, yeah, I mean, because, you know, you never know, that could be the one that's the gold one. Who knows? So yeah, I mean, there's many ways to interpret it. So it's, you know, the experimenting part's the part that's fun for me, not just the spinning out of the line 10 times in a row. That, you know, that's where it gets really
boring.
It gets tedious. Yeah.
Very.
We've been talking about beats and visual cues. Now you do both on camera and voice acting, and yes. You miss a lot of those beats in the voice acting. That's why some amazing on-camera actors have trouble with voice acting sometimes. How do you approach each style of acting? Because they're both acting, but you're missing a lot of the visual on the voiceover.
Yeah, I mean, I for the voiceover, I approach it the same way as I do on camera. So I will take the script and I'll interpret the script the same way. It's not as complex. So I just pull it back a little bit.
Day to day, do you prefer on-camera acting or voice acting or producing or directing? What's your absolute love?
I would say my absolute love is on-camera acting. Okay. First. I love producing, so that's right up there. Very close, probably, you know, hand in hand. I love doing voiceover, but I would take an on-camera gig over a voiceover gig any day of the week. You know, I'm working 2 or 3 months just on the character alone. So
I could see you have your acting coach with you in the voiceover booth. Come on back, Rob. Come back.
No, she wouldn't even do that with me. She's like, why you know, she even, I guess it's kind of like the old time. It was the old time stereotype, I guess, that, you know, I'm an actor, I do commercials, you know, that whole kind of,
yes,
you know what I mean? I can completely understand. Like when I first started doing voiceovers, I never knew what that meant. I was like, well, yeah. Well, why are you being a snob? But I understand now. Like, I understand where that comes from. It's like I said, it's not being snobbish at all. It's just, it's about the growth, you know, and I'll do voiceovers. It's not like I won't do them and it's above me, or, you know, no, I'll definitely do them. I'll definitely do commercials when the opportunities arise, but just the preference. That's all. It's, you know, any kind of, even a play, you know, any kind of live character work is what I like the best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think stories, I love stories. It's just, I don't know. I think it's the most exciting part of our life, and it's the thing I think that connects us. What connects people? I think there's 2 things. It's empathy and sympathy. Sympathy is like, you know, like you said, I'm sorry that happened to you. Empathy is when I understand what you're feeling. I can relate to your story, and I've experienced something similar. Let's share this burden or this thing together. And when you get to do that as an actor, or even as a director, telling a story that makes people feel something or challenges the way they think, or it brings them into the life of another person, to me, there's nothing more rewarding in any career, which is why I couldn't see myself doing anything else. I mean, I might out of necessity, or, hey, I need this in order to be able to do this. But, oh man, it's just such a joy.
The industry, where do you see it going? Because it looks like video games, voiceover, on camera, all this stuff is kind of merging into one thing. You've got shows like The Mandalorian using Unreal Engine in order to create the environment. Then you've got motion capture.
which the voice actor, but they're actually using those cues and beats for their animated presence. Where do you see the entertainment industry ending up? And on the acting side, and maybe even on the legal side, do you see any pitfalls that are coming ahead as video games and movies and TV and everything just kind of merges?
It's hard to say now. I still think that there's going to be plenty of live, real actors, real humans that are going to be filmed and used, because even though there's going to be more AI, I think people need to connect.
Right.
And that's the key, and that's the reason why people watch TV or films, because they're connecting with the characters. And even though animation, you can kind of connect with the characters, it's not the same. It's people. I know I do. I view it differently. I view animation differently than live action.
Mm-hmm. Except Ahsoka in the Star Wars series. She's the only one that's ever been able to do it.
For the most part.
She's just magical character. I have no idea how they did it. It's pretty.
Yeah, things are going to get, technology is going to get better. So it may, of course, it may expand and may grow, but I still don't think it's going to completely wipe out live action. I think that, drama and comedy, that's going to live on. And it's, put it this way. How long have plays been around?
Since forever, beginning of time, storytelling.
Right. So, technology has knocked it out yet. So,
everyone sit around a pub and your buddy's telling a story about what happened to him the other day, and everyone's just hooting and hollering. It's the same format that existed 10,000, 100,000 years ago, or however long.
Yeah. Motion pictures are basically plays that are filmed, right? It's just kind of the same thing. So the technology and how you capture it will change. Mm-hmm. But I don't think the storytelling aspect will ever change. I think that's basic human nature, so that it can't change. So just the form of how the story is going to be told will change and evolve. So that's my take on it.
Well, it also helps make meaning out of experience. It's in the telling of the story. If something happens to you, what is the first thing you feel compelled to do? I need to share the story.
Right.
The
other thing that's not going to change is people's different viewpoints, right? So if you're starting to go to one type of technology, that's going to change to what viewpoint? You know what I mean? It's coming out of, it's one person telling the story from their viewpoint, where when it's live action, they're different. Each character has a different viewpoint, just like real life.
Yeah.
So, and if it's a well-written story, of course.
Yeah.
So, and that's the other thing I love about any kind of acting, is a chance to express myself, versus trying to impress. And that's what my acting teacher says, act for expression versus impression, try to impress. And that took me a while too, because actors are always hung up about what they look like, and, to the audience, and if they like me, and all those things, they destroy your performance.
Yeah.
So
because your character is the real character is not concerned about what Steve in Idaho thinks about his hair at that moment.
It's the last thing, right? It's the last thing that now it's the last thing in my mind.
Yeah.
When I'm acting, it's I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't think about those things. Don't even come into my mind when I'm acting. It's because if you're doing your job right, it won't. It can't.
Yeah.
If you're going to those places that you worked on during your rehearsals and things, if you're really there during the performance, those things can't come up. It's not, all the focus is off you. It's that you're not thinking about yourself or how people perceive you at that moment. So, and it's actually, that's why it makes it a little hard to actually watch my work back too. Like when I watch it back.
Yeah.
So I try to watch it back on just the technical things. I don't want to get too into where I was at that time where I was performing. You know what I mean?
Right. Mm-hmm. Just look at it for what it is, and then does it elicit the emotion? Does it execute? You always want to be. I think it's important to be objective about what you've done, and that's any good filmmaker, any good scene. You can say, hey, actually, I think next time I want to try this, or maybe I don't think I was entirely there in this scene. I wonder why, and you can go back and figure that out yourself. But to beat yourself up over something that you've already done, I always I actually wrote this down on the paper the other day. Because I like this. Learn from it, grow from it, go from it.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I think it was just that same thing. Like, hey, after you finish something, I tell my kids at film school, I say, has anyone ever been on Rotten Tomatoes? And I said, are they really nice to the filmmakers? They're like, oh my gosh, no. I said, you're going to have critics no matter what you do. No matter if you give the best performance of your life, the worst performance of your life. Are you happy with your performance? Are you happy with what you accomplished? Do you feel like you communicated what your character was trying to? And did you do it to the best of your ability today? 5 years from now, hopefully you can make an even better film than you just did. But today, did you do those things? Then learn from it, grow from it, go from it. Next, I think any film, no matter how terrible it is, the fact that it even got made is a miracle in and of itself.
Oh, absolutely.
Even the worst films ever, I'm like, I celebrate anyone who finishes a film,
Absolutely.
no matter how bad it is.
So hard to make a film. Absolutely. So many pieces have to come together to get it done. So yeah, what I'm talking about when I watch myself back, I'll look at my facial expressions, I'll look at the blocking, that kind of thing. I don't pull apart my performance. Yeah, because it's uncomfortable. It's kind of uncomfortable for me, kind of watching myself on screen. Yeah. So I just watch for the technical things, or are my eyebrows moving around too much, or that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so, you're feeling you're in a way you're naked in a sense. It's just metaphorical.
Right.
And you're
out there. You're vulnerable.
Here it is.
So it's like, it's hard. So it's hard to watch the vulnerability back. That's for me.
Yeah.
Anyway,
well, especially if you're not doing it on a regular basis, because most of the people that you don't, a select few friends ever really get to see that level of depth of you. And when you do what you do as an actor, you're lending that vulnerability to a character so that people can relate to that person, and you're naked. Really, that's this is the mess. And it's easier to reject. Why do we not share that part of ourselves as often? Because rejection. I don't want people to know I'm a mess. I don't want people to know I struggle with this. That's personal. But when you're an actor, we'll know if you're not honest. I don't believe you.
Absolutely.
You're lying to me. I can see your face. Is your character supposed to be lying? Because you are. It's it's hard.
Absolutely.
It's hard.
Right. Yeah. That's the other reason why when I'm done with a project, I kind of have a day or two where I'm kind of depressed. Kind of depressed that it's over, where I'm, kind of recovering, shedding that character and going back to real life. And I kind of get in the blues for a couple of days. So
yeah,
it's crazy stuff, but I love it.
What is the number one thing that you would tell an actor, director, or producer, or somebody going into a creative project that legally they need to look out for?
Okay, so the number one thing I tell all of my filmmakers is do your paperwork along the way and get all your releases along the way. Get your location releases, get your actor releases, get your crew releases, make sure your insurance is all set, get all that stuff, because at the end, when you go to sell the project, the distributor is going to want to see all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So if you don't have it and you have to go back 2 years, maybe 2 years later to try to get it, it's a nightmare. So just that's the number one piece of legal advice that I give, or even producing advice that I give to filmmakers, is get all your contracts signed. If you're going to get union stuff, they're going to require that you have contracts with all your actors. People don't get crew releases, and I don't know why they don't. They should absolutely get crew releases, because what if you had some rogue director, or sorry Jason, but rogue crew person that comes back and wants to make a claim on the copyright.
Right.
because they're disgruntled or something. So,
well, the last thing you want is for someone to put a lien on your film because you didn't do the paperwork, especially in related to tax. So if you take tax incentive from different states, and let's say I shoot in New York City, and I'm in New York, and part of the agreement of me getting to 40% is I have to shoot 80% of my film there.
Right.
And I don't keep track of the talent that I use there. I didn't get releases from the people that are on board, and then I shoot in Georgia. And they say, you shot 70% of your film in Georgia and not here. I need to be able to have the paperwork to show, like, no, look, here's all the receipts. Here are the days I was there. These are the people that are involved. Because we had a film that we're working on that we had distribution for, and we got P&A for it, and we'd been put all of that part together. And the director was supposed to shoot in Poland, but they shot in Italy instead, most of the film. And as a result, Poland said, we're not giving these tax credits. They put a lien on the film, and the film never, ever made it. It had a lot of people that were, Sharon Stone was in it, a lot of actors. It was a really, really fantastic film. I saw the whole thing. The final cut was a beautiful, frozen, gone forever, because they didn't keep track of their paperwork, and they kind of chinched on where it was supposed to be shot. It was really, really a sad thing because it was such a beautiful film.
Or locations. People don't get location agreements. I've seen that a lot. And then the people that you shot where, I had this mansion. I shot this great, look at the film. And then they come back and like, nope, you don't want it on your film. It's like, if you don't have a location agreement or a location release, you're screwed. Right.
So rotoscope this house out, please. And the inside.
Exactly. So like, it's really important to get location agreement, all that paperwork. It's all important. It seems like it's a drag, and no filmmaker likes to do paperwork.
No, we hate it actually. Even the script is like, I got to do the script.
Just hire a PA for $5 an hour or $10 an hour minimum wage to go do get the paperwork signed for you. It's not that it's just tedious, but it's got to be done.
Right.
So, another question for you. So I'm an actor, director, voiceover talent. I'm doing pretty good now. I started off small, and now I'm, making X amount of dollars, maybe, $90,000, $100,000. When is a good time? Should I, as an individual, form a loan out corporation? And when's a good time to do that? And what is that? Because a lot of people don't even know that's available. You can actually save a lot of money on your taxes. So when should I consider that, and what is it?
Well, first of all, you're in California, and you have AB5, so you should have a loan out corporation right now.
Okay, yeah,
number
for
one.
Sure.
But you should, every actor, when they're first starting out, voiceover artists, they should have an LLC that they set up. And a loan out corporation basically means that you have an entity that would be a corporation or a limited liability company that collects your payments and then loans out your personal services, because normally personal services need to get paid a wage. So, and that's what AB5 is all about. They won't let you work as an independent contractor for certain professions,
which is insane. It's literally insane. But that means it's it's like getting it taxed as an S corp instead of just an LLC, right? As a loan out. Or am I wrong? In California, yes.
California, yes. You would want to designate it as an S, but that's not everywhere in all the states. You can still have it's a loan out LLC, which is the same thing as a loan out corp.
Okay.
So, but you would just if in California you should just do an S designation, but it's just all it is you form an LLC and you tell the IRS, you file a form saying that you want to be taxed as an S. That's it. Yeah. So it's not,
because it reduces your employee tax, right?
Or correct. Because everything gets written through, all your write-offs. Everything gets paid through the LLC, and you write off everything through your LLC, and then you're not paying employment taxes, Social Security, Medicare. It's not getting taken out of your paycheck. You're not. You can write off all the residual expenses, like agency expenses or whatever other expenses, because it's going to be coming out of your corporation versus, like if you get hired to direct a film, they want to pay you as an employee, then all you can't write off any of those expenses. You can't write off the travel expenses, whatever.
But if they hire your LLC, who is licensing you, I was lending you out essentially. You can file all that. So correct. Also, if I have IP, let's say I'm a director, I've written a story, come up with an idea. Do I put that in? I would also put my IP inside the LLC as well.
You can have your LLC own the IP, but I would create a separate LLC for the actual IP project. Uh-huh. Yeah, for each project to have that LLC hold that particular script, that particular IP. Yeah, because it's easier to account and it's easier. You're gonna have different investors. You're gonna have different people involved. So you don't want any of those people to come after your main LLC that are involved with those each project. So you should have each project in a separate LLC. That's what I mean.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, and it's really important so every production, let's say you're working on a TV show and you got a movie and you're also working on another project on the side. As an LLC for each one of those, if one of them gets sued, let's say there's an accident on your TV show, they're going to want, the people involved are going to say, oh yeah, we want to sue the whole company, all the productions. But as an individual LLC for each property, they can only go after production A, the television show, and they can't technically sue the movie or the other project they're working on.
Correct.
Which is why that's so important.
But there's also a danger. How do you stay vigilant and make sure that you don't pierce the corporate veil on that, because you're working on all the projects, and then if you somehow act as a person from this corporation but use the email from this other corporation to do that,
you got to keep it separate. You got to So you got to, when you set up the LLC, like say it's Apple. Right. Apple's the name of our project, right? So we're going to set up Apple LLC. We're going to set up a bank account, Apple LLC. And then on my personal email, I'm going to create my web address, robsig@apple, to keep it separate, right? So it'll still go to my main address, but when I give out the address, it's going to the public, it's going to be robsig@apple, that name of that project. So it's easy to keep them all separate, but it's important to keep them all separate so you don't get a claim like that you're the alter ego of all those companies, and they try to bring them all in. So you just keep them separate. Especially, I mean, one of the main reasons why I do separate LLCs is because normally there's different investors on all of those projects, right? You'll have a different producer who's putting money in or whatever, and I want their money separate from all the other monies, and I want to make sure that if something happens with that production, that's the only production that it's going to affect, and not all the other productions, right? And you can also make them a member of the LLC, make them a direct member, and then it's easier to do accounting at the end of the year. You send them out K1s or whatever, so it's you just make them a member of the LLC as an investor, and then boom, they're attached. They're not attached to your LLC. They're attached to the one for the particular project, the IP.
Yeah, great. That's all stuff that's good to know. A lot of filmmakers and storytellers, you don't think about this a lot, and we talked about this on others episodes, but really you incorporated. So if you're an independent contractor, you're an actor, you're a director, you're essentially the boss of your own company. It's important to know, at least to set it up so that you can file your taxes properly, and you can take care of your governmental stuff, you can engage in business properly, and you're protecting some of your assets. I've often heard some people say, oh, you don't need an LLC until you actually have assets to protect, and I kind of ignored that and went ahead and did my own. You can do a DBA, which is essentially allows you to do business as another name. But an LLC, I found that I think it's a good idea to have one, even if you don't have physical assets that they can come after, simply for the fact that you can really keep things separated in terms of taxes, filing. What would your suggestion be on that? Do you think I can do DBA, or should I go LLC if I'm doing that?
I mean, you can do DBA, but the DBA is not going to get you the loan. Like if you want to be a loan out, so say someone comes and wants to hire you, like say Disney, for example. Disney, this is what they do. They're going to hire you as either director or an actor, right? Right. They're going to insist that you're an employee. Yep. Insist. And you're like, well, if you don't have an LLC or a corporation set up, then they're going to pay you as an employee, right? So if you have an LLC, Disney actually has the form, the loan out corp form that you can, the contract that you can complete with, filling in the blanks and stuff. Disney actually gives it to the actors. Where if you had come to me to set up the LLC in the first place, I would draw up your loan out agreement for you. So if that happens, you could just give the loan out agreement, say, no, you have to pay. I want you to pay my LLC, my corporation, because I'm a loan out. My personal services are being loaned out. That's what the contract says.
And they'll be like, darn it.
No, they'd be fine with it.
Yeah, they're cool.
But they just have to cover themselves,
Right.
because that's the technicality. That's the legality of it. If they don't have that, then they have to pay you as an employee. That's what the law says.
Right,
so that's why they require that. It happened just the other day. I had a client came in. I set up an LLC for her about 6 months ago, and I gave her the loan out agreement. And I said, if anyone ever says that you have to be hired as an employee, make sure you give them this and say no. So just the other day, she wrote, and she's like, look, they want me to be an employee, and I remember you told me something about it, but I don't remember what. So I sent her the copy of the loan out agreement that I did. I said, give them this.
Yeah.
And then she wrote back. She was like, yeah, they took it.
So, and that's for everything. That's for any project, big or small, that you do. Like, let's say I get hired as a director to do a commercial for one person. I'm doing a corporate video for another. I'm working on a TV show. I can use that in every instance for all of those, right?
Yes. You want them all to go through your LLC. That's the point.
Yep.
Even if you create an LLC with each IP, any income or any expense that comes through that, run it through you're going to take a check from, check or payment.
Massive
come out of that LLC. Massive check. And it's going to go in through your LLC. That's how you're going to do it, to make sure everything. You're not going to take it and put it into your personal account.
Bad idea.
You're not going to take money from that account and go buy a car with it. Right, you're going to take it and put it into your LLC, then go buy the car.
Then you pay. So you also pay yourself, right? So you give yourself a salary, you make that payment to your personal account. That counts as a withdrawal out of the LLC, and then you make a purchase on your personal account.
So you're going to take whatever revenue is coming out of the IP, right? So say you have 5 films going on, right, and each one has an LLC, right? So now IP1, we'll call it Apple again.
Yeah, Apple.
It made $10,000. You just got a $10,000 payment on it, right? So that's your profit. So you're going to take that $10,000 and you're going to put it into your regular LLC, the one that
manages.
That's me.
That's me.
You,
that's my
right.
loan out. Yeah,
going to go in there. So then you can write all your expenses off of that, right? And then you can do whatever you can put it into your personal account. You go buy a car, whatever you want.
Yeah,
right. That's fine.
Yeah.
But don't just take the money out of, don't take that $10,000 and then go, go
buy a car,
or whatever. Yeah. Make sure you run it through the LLC first before you do anything with it.
Before you use it for a very nice lap dance.
Because that way that they're going to say you're commingling, and then that's how they're going to, if the IRS is going to go after you for that. And that's how, if anyone makes a claim, they're going to try to say that they can go after your personal LLC, because
attach everything else,
right? Because you're commingling, you're acting as the alter ego. That's the legal
alter
term.
ego.
So you don't want that claim. You want them to say, no, I have everything absolutely separate. The only company that's liable is Apple.
And you also need to determine which of your personalities manages which LLC. I forget which one of them is in charge of Apple.
Well, each personality is going to be, because it's going to be different people with involved with those.
You hope.
Right? So it's
not
going to be,
unless you don't have someone to help bring you back out of those dark places. You might not.
Well, you have to have other. You have to have other people that are investing in stuff in those other projects, right? I mean,
yes. Self-fund everything.
Well, if you self-fund it, okay, that's fine too. But then take the money out of your
personal, put it to the project.
Exactly, and earmark it, right?
Yes.
So you just got to make sure you do the paperwork on it.
Yeah. So I think for every person who thinks, I don't know, I don't have the money to spend on an attorney, or I don't have, I don't have money for an accountant. What would you say to those people? Like, you probably you can't afford not to do that, actually.
I mean, you don't need to go to an attorney every single time, right? You could, once you learn how to set up an LLC, you can do that yourself. That's fine. Or you can have an attorney that just does it for you, and they're going to give you they'll give you a deal. volume discount for doing
for your 5 companies.
Yeah, or the accountant I would, unless you have a really good system set up on like QuickBooks or something like that, I would use the accountant, because it starts to get complicated, and the accountant is going to pay for themselves. Like they'll definitely find enough tax breaks that they'll pay for themselves.
Right.
So, because if you don't do the taxes properly, you'll end up paying more than you should. So.
Right. Yeah. I found that to be the case. The hardest trouble I had, it's fine when you're not making any money when you're first getting started. It doesn't really matter. Like at the end of the year, okay, you factor it out or whatever. But once you start actually making something, if you don't have a plan for it, I like plan ahead now. And I think it's also a good mindset to think like, I am going to be successful. I am going to make money, and therefore I'm going to set up a system that I know will work when I start making an income. So maybe it's easier now to get a hold of it when you don't have shareholders, when you don't have other members of the company, when you don't have money, like multiple projects, to understand how it works now with just you, and really understand that process. So it's easier when you're growing and you expand, as you hopefully will.
And here's the other thing. I've seen this time after time after time. So this business changes really fast. So one day you're going to wake up and someone's going to say, here's $100,000 or here's $10,000. Right. So it changes overnight. I've seen this so many times where one day I've got nothing. The next day I hit it big. Yeah. So if you need to have your stuff in place, you can't do it if you're trying to scramble at that point in time. Like if you walk into an attorney's office with $100,000 check in your hand and now they have to set everything up, it's going to cost you triple than what it would have cost.
Because I need it in 48 minutes. Yeah.
Right. And you need all this stuff done. It has to get all done. Right. So it's going to cost way more to get it done at that point in time. Plus you have the money. All right. So it's human nature. Oh, you got the $100,000. The attorney's going to want a piece. No, well, attorney's going to want a piece
of that. Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So if you have no money going to the attorney, I'm human. I'm going to give you I'm not going to, if you don't have anything, I can only charge so much. There's a lot of advantages to setting up a company.
Right.
Instead of waiting till you hit it big and then scrambling to try to get it all set up. Plus you're going to pay taxes in that case too. Like if it's not set up before you get that check in your hand, you're going to end up paying a lot of income tax.
What about converting somebody that's been doing this for a while and they've been doing it as a DBA or under their personal name, and they want to switch to a loan out? How do you go back and, convert all your business to that?
You can't convert it.
Okay.
That's the thing. So that's why you have to set up the LLC. You can convert from DBA to LLC, but then anything that the LLC brings in it's going to start from scratch as far as expenses and income.
Okay.
So probably the best thing to do will be to wait till the end of the year and do it at the beginning of the year. Unless you're anticipating to make, get that big check at some point in time, and then do it right at that point, so that when the check comes in, you're all set and you can run it through whatever tax shelters you set up.
So another reason to do it early is just have it in place.
Yeah, the earlier you do it, I mean, if you're taking it seriously and if you're planning on being a success, the earlier that you do it, the better off you are, because you're going to have all your systems in place. And then all you have to worry about is your craft. You're not going to have to worry about the business end of it, because it'll be taken care of already. So,
yeah. Well, it was really, really awesome having you on the show. Really exciting. So much great information. We'd love to be able to have you back again sometime if you're willing to, because I know there's so much more we can cover. But before we go, you have your book, Voiceover Legal. I noticed one really big flaw in it that I think it's really easy to fix. And it was something that I thought, I can't even believe this is possible. So I noticed that there is no forward in it by Cam Cornelius. And I thought, how is this book even existing without a forward by Cam?
I think that was before the book was before I knew Cam. I think so.
Exactly. Before his time.
We could fix that for the
next edition. Right.
When you have a re-release, the updated version of that, it might be interesting too. You think there might be an updated version, given everything that you've gone through in the last couple of years and what you've learned? I'm sure that must be coming.
Yep, I've been working on it for like 2 years. So
okay.
I just got to sit down and get it done.
Great. So. I know Cam would be a wonderful reference for that.
If you want to, it's yours.
Jason. No, yeah, I'm really excited to see that. Or any other books on the horizon for other areas of entertainment? Or are you focusing on just the voiceover?
No other books because I've got. I'm really focusing on films. I have 4 that are in post right now. Well,
amazing.
Two TV series and 2 films that are all in post. So, and I just sold it. I just sold a documentary.
Nice.
A lot of dough.
Oh, dude, well done. That's fantastic. What a rewarding thing that is. That's so exciting.
Absolutely.
Very cool. Congratulations on that, and we look forward to seeing them. What's the title of? Can we know the title of the doc?
Yeah, it's called The Final Round. It's about the trial against Robert Lee back in the 90s. He was the president of the IBF, International Boxing Federation.
Yeah.
And he got brought up on RICO charges because they said he was accepting bribes from like Don King and those guys, which was BS. Wow. But so we have one more interview left with Evander Holyfield that hopefully we'll be doing next month. And
that's awesome.
It's going to post and it's already sold. So.
Dude, that's fantastic. Great. Well, we look forward to seeing that, and maybe we can have you on talk more about that show. That'd be a great episode.
Sure.
When it's out and ready.
Yeah, when it's ready and when it lands at its final place, then yeah, absolutely, I'd love to.
So, Robert, thank you.
Yes,
thank you again.
Robert. People want to collaborate with you, say for voiceover or for legal or for even working with your production company.
Actor.
Where can they reach you?
Rob's ROBSCIG at USA.net is my email. You can go to robsigesq.com. That's my law website, or robpaglia.com is my acting website.
Great.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being a guest. We really appreciate it. Amazing, amazing info. And we look forward to having you on again.
Mind sufficiently blown. Yeah, you get 2 mind explosions. That's the highest rating we can give.
Nice.
Rob Sciglimpaglia. Sciglimpaglia, right?
Yes, you got it.
Sciglimpaglia.
Yes.
I
got it right.
Cam, you get so 1 mind explosion.
Thanks, Rob. We look forward to having you on again. Wow.
I'm telling you, fantastic. There's so much that goes into filmmaking, into everything. Like, you can literally learn forever all the nuances and everything about this industry that's involved. I mean, there's so much. So if you're wondering, is film for me? There is literally everything you can do in here, from producings to legals to attorneys to executive producing to art to. I think this industry encompasses literally every single thing you could possibly do.
Yeah.
And you can lend that talent to the service of creating stories and that impact people's lives. So it's an exciting field. It's a hard field to get into, depending upon what you want to do in it. It takes work. It takes a relentless stupidity and to be able to continue going.
Or genius. There's a fine line.
It is a fine line. Well, I think when it succeeds, they're like, oh my gosh, he's a genius. And until it succeeds, he's like, he's an idiot. Why does he keep doing that?
But the importance, though, because those languages, again, are so different. And as a creator, you don't really all the time think of the legal aspects. So
no, you don't. You rarely
important.
ever do. And it's always, if I ever got in trouble, it's generally with that type of thing where I'm like, you know, where's this file? How come this isn't? And then you just feel like an idiot. I don't know. Like, I got to go, let me go back to the accountant. Let me talk for this. We got to find out where that is. And any good producer, it has got to know this, especially if you're producing, you're dealing with numbers. You're the one who is number one in line for if something happens to the film. The executive producer generally is the one who ends up helping something happen to make the film. They give funding for the film. The producer, the line producer, the UPM, they're all responsible for the budgeting for the actual finance. If you're interested in, and you really love helping people organize and put things together and bring groups together, hire out people, deal with financing and funding, producing is an incredible field to go into. It's one of the most frustrating, I think, in film, but it's also one of the most rewarding, because I always see these producers, every film, the producers I know, they literally lose all of their hair, but it grows back instantly, and they want to do another film right afterwards. So it must be rewarding. I don't know.
Must be rewarding.
Must be something good in it. Well, we're excited you joined us for another episode of Entertainment Dudes. I'm Jason Crossman, the director dude.
I'm Cam Cornelius, the voiceover dude.
And we look forward to listening to us if you are on Apple, on Spotify.
Watching us, too.
Watching us. You can actually watch us is even better. At least watch the part with Cam. Like, you can put your hand over my side if that bothers you.
Come on.
Okay, all right. I have a tie today, so come on. I mean, it look good. So.
And I don't.
Yes. No, you don't. You can't unbutton it, though. You look suave. Anyways, stay tuned for another episode of Entertainment
Dudes. We'll see you then.
Peace out.